Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you are. Welcome to the Dopamine Slot Machine, the podcast that discusses what you need to know about the video games your children are playing. How are they designed to get your kids hooked? How do they make money from your children? And what can you do to make sure that your child's relationship with video games is a positive one? My name is Andrew. I'm a dad of two and a lifelong gamer. And perhaps I need to change that intro because, again, we've moved away from video games. Today, we're talking porn. Specifically, we're talking about the attempt by the UK government to introduce age restrictions on mature content and giving some ways that your children will probably find to break it. So I've got a very special guest today, a sometime colleague, sometime project partner. We studied together at university and a long-time friend, Jack. So Jack is an expert software tester. As I said, I would know. I've worked with him. And I set him to task to find a few ways to break the new UK porn block. So before we dive into the ways that your child or their peers might be breaking this block, first, Reed, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm Jack. As my friend said, yes, we've worked together. We've done some side projects together, and we went to university together. And I'm a software tester by trade. So I spend my time ruining developers' fun things. I spend weeks on programming, and I just come along and ruin it all. So when you set me this task, it was actually, I hesitate to say fun because of the subject, but it was interesting to see how it all works. And it seems to be that some sites, I won't name them, have just done it as a token lip service to provide the bare minimum. So it was easier than I expected to get around it.
I sure hope your partner was understanding of you looking up porn on the computer in the middle of the day.
It's just research. It's for work.
Andrew asked me too. I'm sure it wouldn't be the weirdest thing you've had to blame on me to her.
No, that's for another podcast episode, I think.
So before I let Jack dive into the ways that your child could break the porn ban, first I wanted to talk a little bit about why action on pornography is needed. So to be clear, I completely agree with the point of view that we need to do something. But what we need to do needs to be effective. So porn exposure is happening younger than ever. It's more hardcore. 10% of 9-year-olds have encountered pornography. By 11 is 27%. We have teachers reporting pupils seeking advice on how to strangle safely. We have skyrocketing rates of child-on-child sexual assault and harmful sexual behaviour. We're seeing pornography addiction in young children, pornography obsession. Like, it's at a crisis point. And so much of it can be linked back to the increase in porn consumption and the lower and lower age at which children are being exposed to porn. Like, that's without meaning to give too much information. I think things have very much changed since we were kids.
Yes, it's. I mean, I don't mind being too candid here, but I found mine in the woods, and it seemed to be a lot of people weirdly had the same experience. I didn't realize this was a thing until recently, but maybe nature's healing. I don't know.
It's not finding a magazine in the woods anymore is the thing. It's your child being sent violent pornography whilst they're alone in their room, out of your sight, out of your supervision. It's group chats. It's including nudes and AI generated nudes of their peers being shared about school.
Yes, it's vile that this technology has reached a stage which it was, let's be honest, it was always going to reach this, and I think we have to get through this stage. But it's horrible that children have access to this. The internet is supposed to be this wonderful tool and information device that gives you access to the wealth of human knowledge and culture, and the dark side appears to be winning.
Yeah. But enough of that. Let's talk about how we can break it. From a technologist point of view, I love these types of conversations, putting aside the fact that what we're breaking here is a set of safeguards designed to protect children. If we can just forget that for a second and just embrace the joy of finding ways around software. So, you know what? Completely over to you, Reed.
Yes. So as I said, this is my job to find my way around software and break it. And there's probably three core ways to get around the system. One is being the simplest one and the probably one of the darkest ones. It's stealing your ID. So your child could simply go into your wallet, grab your identification, scan it on their phone, and away they go. And there's no way for you to know it or understand that this has been done or find out this has been done rather. And there's another way where they do this weird AI face checker where it gets you to look from right to left. And I suppose you could go up to anyone on the street and say you're recording some sort of TikTok or Instagram video and work it in some sort of dark way. So there's that way, which I suppose applies a bit of social engineering, which is probably a past
do,
for kids.
do all websites have that as a check, though? So you mentioned earlier that there's some websites which are sort of paying lip service. What's the sort of bare minimum that you've seen?
The bare minimum would be a very large website that's sometimes called the front page of the internet. Their one was laughably easy. So the ID stealing, as I mentioned, there's a VPN which you can use. There are a number of free VPNs.
Our audience might not know what a VPN is, so let's start really right at the top.
Yeah, of course. So a VPN is a virtual private network. So when you connect to the Wi-Fi normally, it's on your home network and you are assigned a IP address that's assigns you to a geographical location. There's kind of, more deep side and technical into it, but that's the kind of high level of it. It assigns you to a geographic location. With a VPN, you can pretend to come from anywhere in the world. As long as there's a server in that country, you can pretend to come from it. So, you've got America, Canada, Australia, those kind of countries you can pretend to come from. And using those, you can pretend you're from there where the block doesn't exist. You can browse to your heart's content. So the reason why people would legitimately use VPNs is for work, more accurately. Start again. The reason why people would use VPNs is for work. So any remote office worker will very likely connect to a virtual private network. This is done for security concerns. It stops people from accessing or seeing what you're doing. Really, it's a security feature that most organizations will have. And also, if you want to just have a bit of internet privacy, which is a legitimate reason, if you want to be private on the internet, that's completely reasonable to have. So that's why some people would use that. But it also allows you to get around this block.
So if I were trying to circumvent the block, how easy would it be for me to use a VPN to set that up? How much knowledge would it take, and how long would it take?
It would take you as you'd only be limited by your internet speed. If I'm really honest, you would go on your phone, which is where people typically interact with the internet nowadays, and download an app from the App Store, and it'd be installed, and away you go. There are paid versions, but there are also numerous free versions which you can use.
So they don't even have to enter card details.
Nope, they don't even have to sign up or create an account. They can download it, and away they go. There are security concerns around free VPNs, but
I dare say the average teenager is going to be particularly concerned about that.
Yes, especially if they're trying to view what we're discussing today. They're not going to be thinking clearly.
There was another way that you shared to me, and I don't want to spoil this because on the surface it was really funny.
Yes.
And it was actually what inspired me to ask you to come and do this episode.
Yes.
So what's the final way?
Yeah, so the final way is when it came to getting access, I set myself the task of learning what would the system accept. It was clear that it needs a valid looking ID because that's exactly what the system is looking for. It's looking for a valid UK identity, passport, driving license, or whatever. One quick Google search on of a UK driving license on image search provides a large number of mock ones that are directly provided by the DVLA. So I first tried a flat image, which is just a JPEG of the driving license. That failed, which I kind of expected and was happy that failed. And then I thought, well, it needs to be pretended it's been taken on a desk or someone's holding it. So I tried one of the images that had fingers holding it. The system accepted this immediately. So it's clear
So
that...
you just asked ChatGPT generate me a photo of somebody holding a UK driving license.
No. I will get into that. No, this was just a Google search of UK driving license.
Oh, so not even generating it, just a random photo that you just uploaded.
No, it's one of the it's within the top 10 results of a UK driving license, and it has a man holding it and a woman. You can just use any of those and they'll work fine. But it does lead to what you were saying about ChatGPT. So then I thought, well, I wondered if I can use AI to generate a form of identification that would accept, because it was AI checking AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I asked it to generate me a completely fake and mock ID. Hit my first hurdle there, actually. The AI told me it can't do that because it's not legal. And I said, do it anyway. And it did. So they tried, but it worked away. And when I was telling it to generate the ID, I said, can you use Shrek for the inspiration for this? Shrek is a character from a film, which I assume most listeners are aware of. Away the system went. The AI generated a completely mock and very clearly fake ID, but it happily accepted it. It didn't even hesitate. So
if Shrek wants to go watch some pornography, he doesn't even have to get a actual ID to do so.
No, and it shows that these companies are just providing the bare minimum lip service, that they're doing what are required. If you actually implemented a proper system, what I tested should have immediately been rejected and failed, but they've not. So to me, it sounds like they don't care.
No, they don't. They make money off of children using this content.
Yes,
That's the short of it.
Which is horrifying, and it kind of highlights the pointlessness of this block that's been brought in. I completely agree for the reasons behind it, and we need to address, well, not giving children access to smartphones, right? Which is the whole point of this podcast.
So, what could the UK government do, just on if they're trying to pursue that blocking content route, and putting aside the various completely legitimate arguments that I personally do sympathise with, but taking an at all cost hypothetical standpoint, what could the UK government do to actually be able to block porn to children?
Gosh, that's the question. I would say no, because the internet is a utility and it's so freely available to everyone, as it should. We need information to be free, we need speech to be free, and it's something that's very important. And I think cutting access off to that would hurt us as a nation. If you were to bring in a properly digital system, I have absolutely no idea. Maybe linked your government gateway, your national insurance number, but then that just, no one's going to agree to that, and it feels really weird, right?
Like going through passport control because you want to access. And to be clear, it's not just pornography. It's adult content in general. I've heard reports that mental health support forums have been blocked.
So
and without getting into whether it's appropriate for children to access that sort of content, is it appropriate to have to hand over your private details to be able to access that content?
No, absolutely not. When you're accessing mental health support, it should be accessible for everyone, right? Anyone can have anxiety. Anyone can be depressed, and the forums that exist around that, that they're obviously not perfect. Nowhere on the internet really is, but it can help you sympathize with people and connect and not feel quite so alone. And if I have to hand over that when people are in a clearly, genuinely vulnerable position, they're not just horny. I think that has the opposite effect of what we're trying to achieve here. People need that access.
So to summarize, this porn block is completely ineffective, uses up a huge amount of political capital. Companies are doing the bare minimum to get by, and it's just not working. And if it's creating a sense of false security for parents who think that this might actually help make the internet a safer place for children.
Yeah, I think that's the nail on the head there. It's ineffective. It's a waste of time, and I think politically it's burned some good faith because it's other successive governments or previous governments rather have been talking about creating this kind of block, and it's anyone who works in technology know it's impossible. If you were to redesign the internet from the ground up and create this sort of system, then yes, but you
Like we were
can't.
talking, we were talking about the potential of this block when we were still at university.
Yeah, I
That's
remember.
how long it's taken to come to fruition.
Yeah, I remember talking about it with you and saying that this is ridiculous because when we were studying, computer science, it's
Yeah, it was never going to work.
yeah.
And even with close to a decade of technological advancement, it's still not worked.
And I think what this ban is going to have to do is just going to push people towards more computer knowledge, more computer literacy. Right? They're just going to learn how to get around it. You know,
There we go. There's at least one upside.
yeah. Well, I remember in high school, it's probably where this testing lark started. We had what was it, RM block or whatever it is back then. Um, I learned how to get around that. I learned how to access the school proxy so I could connect my laptop to the school Wi-Fi, and I learned my teacher's password, which was admittedly post-it noted to his laptop. Which, from an infosec standpoint, from nowadays, I'd lose my job if I did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I can find if I can find my way around the systems when I was a teenager, when technology was not as easy to use as it is nowadays, yeah, a teenager today is not going to even hesitate getting around it or be bothered by it at all.
There you go, Peter Kyle. Your attempts to make the internet a safer place for children have utterly failed, but at least you've helped improve the digital literacy. At least you've done something positive. So
Yes.
it raises the question: what can we as parents do to actually block access to pornography? The most obvious thing, and I say this over and over, is just don't give them a smartphone. A family computer works brilliantly.
That's
A
what I
computer
had.
in a shared supervised space. Because the moment you give them a smartphone, they're unsupervised, they're using it in bed, they're using it in the bath. There is nothing that they can do on a smartphone that they can't do on a family computer. Even if you did nothing else and let them access all the same materials and all the same programs and give them free reign on social media, if they had to do it in a living room or otherwise shared familial space, then the harm potential drops massively. Otherwise, there's device level parental control apps like Custodio. There's router level parental controlling and site blocking. So I personally have an Eero router, which has fairly good blocking. But really, we need to denormalize smartphones for kids, and we need smartphone free schools. So even if you are a smartphone free family, a third of young people first encounter porn shared over social networks. 28% are with a friend. 20% are shown pornography on someone else's device. If your child's school is not smartphone free, and I mean truly smartphone free, I don't mean out of sight, out of mind. I mean confiscate at the start and put in the various like Yonder pouches or similar, then at some point during your child's time at school, they will be shown pornography. It happened whilst I was at school. Again, this is I left school 13 years ago.
Ugh, don't like that.
I presume it was similar for you as well, Jack.
Yeah,
Probably saw pornography at school
it
at
was.
some point.
I left. Sorry, I left school at 13. Yeah, about that. Not 13 years ago. Not that young. Um, yeah, yeah. Kids shared things on the rubbish, whatever phones we had back then. Yeah, it's been around forever.
Yeah. So we need kids as a cohort. We need children to stop having smartphones. We need smartphones out of schools. We need smartphones out of youth clubs, and we need smartphones out of our children's bedrooms. On that note, thank you so much for joining me, Jack. I hope you've had a good time. This is your first. Is this your first time you've appeared on a podcast?
It is, yes. I really enjoyed it. It was it's fun. I'm a big supporter of your podcast and your drive. I hate smartphones, and I also love smartphones because they're fantastic digital devices that give me access to the wealth of human knowledge. But there is a dark side to it, as there is with all technology.
I feel like our generation in particular, that sort of age band where we were already at school when smartphones sort of exploded and became everywhere. I feel like we get, maybe it's just my bias and my circle, but I feel like we're quite anti-smartphone in general, having experienced that before and after.
Yes, I would agree. We really experienced, I think, the best way to grow up. It came in as it was just starting to get popular, and now it's become terrible. I remember after nights out, you would just upload an entire album of 30 photos onto Facebook, and everyone would be like, "Yeah, that was great." Now it always has to be this horribly digitally created perfect night out where everyone looks happy, fantastic, and fun all the time, and is never sad or upset. And
I mean, personally, all of my nights out have always been I've been the picture of grace and elegance.
as someone who spent a lot of nights out with you, I can confirm that.
Hmm. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today. And don't forget that if you've got any questions for us, or if you or your children have been impacted by the issues we've discussed today, that you can get in touch with us on our website, thedopamineslotmachine.co.uk, or find us on the Dopamine Slot Machine Discussion Corner Facebook group. All links can be found in our artist profile, and we'd love to hear from you. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do join us in our next episode, because I've got another extra special guest lined up. This has been the Dopamine Slot Machine. Thank you, and see you soon.